welcome to Camden Town. We're here at Werewolf Beer, the brewery founded by Rich White. Today we're going to speak to Rich about the importance of Camden to his brewery, his love of classic American styles, Brewers Journey so far, and also the road ahead. Come on in.
Introducing the OneWay Patina Hybrid Keg. Perfected over years to offer leading quality, from filling a keg to filling a glass. Our kegs are the lightweight, carbon-friendly, plug-and-play alternative to steel, saving you on costs to your bottom line and to the environment. Tests by leading scientific institutions have shown time and again there is no difference in the taste or carbonation levels between our kegs and steel or bagged solutions. This is proven whether exported long distance or coupled for up to 4 weeks. Release cash into your business with smaller steel keg floats. And fill our kegs automatically or manually on your existing filling systems with limited or no capex investment. Patina kegs are one way, so there is no need to return or replace missing kegs. We are making a difference to the distribution and service of beverages across the globe. Easy to use, carbon friendly and cash saving. The OneWay Hybrid Keg from Patina.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Brewers Journal podcast. We're here today in Camden Town, the home of Werewolf Beer. And I'm really honoured and privileged to be joined today by Rich White, the founder of Werewolf Beer. How are you doing?
Great, Tim. Thanks for coming.
I mean, that was kind of like a how are you and how you doing, and it ended up being how are you doing? So an interesting take there. But how's your day been so far?
Really good. We're just getting the tap room ready to go for the weekend. We've got hopefully a big bank holiday coming up.
Great stuff.
And some really cool events. So
fantastic. Well, I feel like, Rich, Werewolf Beer is a brewery that I've kind of followed a lot of your journey on so far, especially with your career before then. I mean, like any business, I suppose, ups and downs. How would you say, these first sort of 1.5 years have been?
Not like I planned, but actually pretty good. You can't really yell too much about being able to get a brewery up and running in probably under 6 months of getting your keys. And then immediately being embraced by the local community and having people come in and drink beer.
And I feel like something that I'm really impressed with is the sense of community you've already built here. It feels like Camden, the location of Camden was really important for this brewery to exist in.
It was. It's sort of the first place I was drawn to when I started coming to the UK. It was when I first came here, it was in a kind of very post-punk time for me. So the record collection had gone back to the back of the closet, and I was being a bit of a grown-up. And coming to the UK and seeing Camden Town and realizing that, past the age of 20, you can actually do fun things and enjoy these things that you spent a lot of time investing your life in. And so that's why kind of being based in Camden has been really helpful with that.
And what does Camden mean to you? Because it's obviously such a tourist hotspot, but it's so much more than that as well.
It is. And that's one of the things that kind of works in one of our mottos is that we're keeping Camden creepy. So much of it is basically a strip mall now, but it's still the place where the Clash and the Sex Pistols and Madness and two-tone and all sorts of different flavors of punk rock got their start and continue to have amazing gigs all the time. And so it's really great to be able to be a part of that and know that people come in here to pregame before going to gigs for a lot of these really great bands, because no offense, venues in Camden, the beer selection's a bit.
Surprisingly so. You think, it would be better. I mean, there are venues, of course, and there's, some good pubs, some good bars, but
There is the Black Heart.
there is the Black Heart. That was going to be the one to mention. But yeah, I've always been surprised actually. Good independent quality beer has been hard to come by here.
It's, I mean, a lot of it is obviously the history of brewing in the UK and the existence of the Tide House. In the States, it was, it was always, I can't get good beer at insert the venue, and that's completely gone 180. I mean, you can even go to arena shows, and they'll be sure to have on local craft beer.
Yeah.
And there are places making inroads. Obviously, Studio Lager and Roadie from
Signature Brew.
From Signature Brew. Sorry, brain doesn't work all the time.
It's Friday. You're allowed.
It's Friday. Getting into music venues, and that's hats off to them for being one of the places that's made that made music venues safe for craft beer people.
And so, did you have it sort of? I alluded to earlier, I'm really impressed with the sort of community spirit that you've got here. Do you have a sort of typical type of Werewolf Beer fan?
I want to say it's kind of three-pronged. Obviously, we want people that appreciate quality beer. We also want Americans. But, so Americans, people that appreciate good beer, and then the rockers, the psychobillies, the horror movie fans. The plan with all of these, and I think I hope this doesn't come off as too cynical, but people that care about things want to spend their money on those things. And it's something I realized working events in the States, especially for stuff like pro wrestling or even monster trucks. And if you've never been to a monster truck show, I don't care what you think, what your preconception is, just go, because it's really fun. It sounds stupid. It's really fun. But people that go to these things have saved up their money, and they're going to spend it somewhere, and they want to do it at these places having fun with things that they believe in that aligns with what they think and feel. And that's kind of part of the ethos we've tried to put forward. And again, I hope it doesn't sound like we're targeting people and we're out for money. I mean, it is a business, and I want to be successful, but I'm not trying to catch anybody out and pump people for money. I want to play it. It's the kind of place I want to hang out. If this place existed, I would want to come here and drink. And if I was going to spend money on beer, I'd do it here. And these are the kind of people we want to cater to. The goths and the horror movie nuts and the people that like classic cars, all those kind of things that again are linked back to the U.S. and Americana stuff that's kind of floated back and forth between the U.S. and the U.K. since craft beer started popping its head up in the early 80s, back when everybody that homebrewed in the States was making bitters and ESBs, as I may have, and everybody made a barley wine, and we all drank it and pretended it was really good.
I know. I think, that this is a benefit of running and owning your own business, being able to do things your way. Obviously, we are here in Camden, underneath Camden Road Station, hence the little noise there. But, it's a great spot, great location. I mean, your brewery, sort of your desire to have a brewery goes back a lot further than your career in beer so far. It's always been part of the plan, I guess.
It's come and gone. I mean, obviously, when you start homebrewing, which I did at about like age 20, within 6 months, you will have decided that you make the best beer on planet Earth because all your friends tell you so. And there's absolutely no reason that you can't just go open a brewery and be done with it. And then that's what you do for a living, and life is happy days. I've kind of gone back and forth. I've done it. I've brewed as kind of a night job in the States because, you have to keep your day job because of health benefits and other things. Am I right, Americans? Soapbox moment. So I did get a little burned out on that because small businesses, family-run businesses, especially in the States, there's some really lovely people, but also there's a lot of people that are just kind of in it to grind you down and make a lot of money and don't really care about the product or the people. And I hit that quite a bit. And I just said, you know what? I'm enjoying my credit union job, which is non-for-profit community banks for anybody not familiar. And so I'm like, I'm doing really good with this. Decided to move to the UK, and credit unions were on the up here. They're kind of coming into their own again. And so I said, well, I'm just going to move there and move straight into credit unions, which I did. And then realized it wasn't the same because it just wasn't the same scale. And that was about 2013 when kind of post-Brewdog craft beer started growing and growing and growing, especially in London, and got pushed on to a possible job at London Brewing Company. And I was really happy to do there and work there. And for years I said, it's easier to just draw a paycheck and do it. And when you go home at the end of the night, it's not your problem anymore. Who wants the pain in the ass of being a business owner? Fast forward to now, where kind of after 5 years, building up a brand with them and making really great beer, and having a good time, getting up there in years, going, you know what? It was always in the back of my mind, as you said. Now's the time to do it. I think I've got the chops. I understand the way business works in the UK and in London specifically, and I think I've got something that I can offer to the market. So let's do it. And yeah, so now I'm living that dream, also realizing what that dream entails, for better or worse, and realizing any kind of miscalculations I've made on the time and energy investment involved in running your own business. Don't run your own business. It's actually it's been the dream for a long time, whether I realized it or not. And like I just said, don't run your own business. But actually, things really, really do feel good. And being your own boss, for better or worse, the one thing it's made me really capable of doing is making the product exactly as I want it. Yep. So I'm not pushing things out faster than they need to be. I'm not skimping on ingredients. I make sure I've got the right tools to do the job well and safely and sustainably, so that I can continue to do this.
And let's talk a little bit about the product. I mean, you have there the Cadillac, the coffee stout. I'm on the beautiful Moonstomp Rice Lager. Obviously, Werewolf Beers, should I say, are clearly, as you said, of your own making. They're beers that you clearly enjoy drinking and that you enjoy making. Doesn't seem like you're following trends. You're making sort of classic US styles, and really good ones at that.
That's the obviously, as you can see on the back of our really cool pint glasses, we're an American brewery in London. That's the tagline, and we're trying to live up to it as much as possible. And so it's a bit of a time warp, because I'm going back to what was going on when I was drinking beer in the early 2000s, going to things like the Great American Beer Festival every year out in Denver, with hundreds and hundreds of breweries, going to the Beer Advocate festivals, going to beer festivals at places like Belgian-owned brewery Ommegang in the States. Back to roots, back to beer that is clear and bitter and balanced, and not to sound like an old fuddy-duddy, but tastes of beer. But it's those flavors that when I got here, everybody was kind of, making American craft beer, but hadn't been drinking it for very long. And I felt that they hadn't quite got it right. And that's kind of what we're trying to do. Even now, when you buy, the situation for getting fresh American beer here is light years ahead of where it was a decade ago. And draft line maintenance and all these keg things that weren't quite understood here have gotten better. But you can get Sierra Nevada Pale Ale here, and you could 10 years ago. But I had an assistant brewer come to me one time, and he's like, you know what? This is just such a classic. I love it so much. All those caramely notes and this hint of sherry. And I'm like, oh, it's a pale ale. I was like, it's old, it's oxidized. That's not what it's supposed to taste like. Fresh Sierra Nevada pale ale is a joy. The beer that you used to buy in supermarkets in America that was that you had to pour gently as to not disturb the sediment because it was actually real ale in a bottle at that point. It is not supposed to taste like that. And so Psychobilly, our kind of main beer, our American pale ale, the beer that if you run a craft brewery, you should be able to make a standard serviceable American pale ale well. But when you go with the tagline, an American brewery in London, it better be a really good one. And so we're aiming to give people fresh American beer, thinking, if you didn't know, a lot of people do. They go, oh, this is imported. And they're like, it tastes so fresh. And like, it's because I'm making it here because this is it. That's what's in the tank right now. And you're going to be drinking it in a few weeks. So yeah, that was a bit of a ramble, but that's what we want to do is make those beers that you would get in the States that are high quality, no matter the size of the brewery, drinkable, sessionable, repeatable, consistent, on our scale. And that's the point, I guess.
So we have obviously Moonstomp, we have Cadillac, you mentioned Psychobilly. What other beers are in the range?
We've got Stray Cat, which is still a bit of an elusive one, but it's a 3.4%. We're calling it Citrus Session Ale, but it's got wheat and it's got orange peel and orange zest. And I think it probably skews a bit towards an American interpretation of Belgian wit. So somewhere around the Blue Moon mark, things like that, which were fashionable in the States in the 2000s. And then my baby, the Horror Show, which is our rye IPA. And anybody that knows me, like, put rye in anything. Rye bread, rye candy. Are there rye candy bars? I would have a rye candy bar, I bet. Rye beer, it's misunderstood. It's not done right. And I think it's like, actually, it and Creepster, our American brown ale. Rye IPA and American brown ale are so misunderstood over here. And I think I'm trying to bring the best versions of those available. And I've been told for years, nobody's going to buy that. Nobody's going to buy those beer styles here. You can't sell dark beers in the summer, and especially, heavy or weird ones. And we've had times where we've sold out of brown ale faster than we've sold out of pale ale. It does really well with also, because of the basis of homebrewing in the States, the way these are constructed, go down really well with the real ale crowd too. So, we're really, really, really going back to roots, not just for the sake of being retro, but because I feel those were quality things that are worth continuing doing.
So you've obviously got a loyal sort of taproom audience here. Do you feel that, it's obviously a challenging market at the moment and breweries all competing for the same space. Do you think you could have made your life a little easier if you made more of the beers that were on trend, the sort of DDH, hop forward, hazy pales and IPAs?
I don't actually think so. One of the, it depends on which version of easy or hard you want to talk about, because a lot of those beers are really expensive to produce. And again, just due to their nature, shelf life is, again, another constraint you have to look at. And making beers that are completely fermented out and don't have hop material floating in them, and yeast has been dropped out, they just last longer. So we can go for quite a while without having to worry about the beer we've got in stock. It is just as tasty 4 months in as it is in the first week. Also, I don't care who you're trying to sell to. Again, it's a tight market. There's only so many tap lines. There's only so many tap lines that aren't tied. And we're doing primarily draft beer right now. So it wouldn't have, I think we'd be in a worse worse shape if we'd done that. If we had the money to start up with a canning line in the first place or something, and been able to do mail order and direct to customer really easily, maybe that's a way. But again, the amount of hype and marketing and other things you have to do to keep something new and shiny in front of people at all times is it's harder.
Of course.
It has to be harder. Doing the social media and the marketing for a brewery that has a solid core range of 5 beers and those stay the same all the time, and then occasionally putting on events is tough enough. I cannot imagine what it would be like if you were putting out 2 new beers a week.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, a lot of this brewery since day one has been pretty much just you. You know, you've had help along the way, but as you said, it's tough to be doing everything, and especially sales. But I understand recently you now have a new sales colleague on board too.
We do. We used to have, if anybody knows Polly, that used to be at Solvay Society. Mm-hmm. She was here for kind of the first phase of opening doors and whatnot, and was especially helpful because she's a very excellent photographer. So if anybody needs gig photography or product photography, talk to Polly from Belgium. So she's moved on and out of brewing because, again, it's hard work and it's not a high paid field. I mean, I'm the one paying, and I understand I don't pay me enough, and so it's a tough field to work in. So she's moved on from that, and I've gotten somebody new in, Josh, who is working with Disruption is Brewing, and he's just moved to London, and is fits another facet of the brand. I mean, he's a metalhead that likes to collect occult books, and when I said is coming to Camden for work going to be an issue, even though you're in South London, he said, well, no, it'll probably save me money because I'm there so much for gigs. So please, everybody, welcome Josh if you see him floating around. He'll be telling you all about our lovely beers and everything we have to offer.
Great.
It's the next thing is getting in a taproom manager, because I'm basically brewing, running the business, doing all the marketing. Sales has shifted over to Josh, but I need my weekends back because at this point, I'm not sure what day it is.
No.
I'm honestly, the only reason I know it's Friday is because you told me it's Friday.
I mean, obviously, Halloween drinks 2021, taproom opening April 2022. But how many years back before did Werewolf really start?
I tried putting everything together probably late 2018, because I had the concept that I was going to start a brewery. And again, I very foolishly thought I'd be able to work my day job and then work on concept and kind of brand building in the background at night. And what's the delicate way of putting this? It was fucking stupid. That was a stupid idea. It wasn't going to happen. Anybody that works in brewing knows you don't, no matter how good of a place you work for, you're exhausted. It's hard work. You're especially if you're in production, you're giving your body to make beer. And at the end of the day, there's usually nothing left. So I kind of moved on to 2019 and said it was time to leave London Brewing Company and work full time on the Werewolf concept, which I think came together once we had the name and the entirety of the American brewery in London, which is obviously a nod to an American werewolf in London, the greatest film ever made. We kind of went from strength to strength. That's such an annoying thing to say. But we, got the branding together, got the logo together, created what the core range was going to look like, and had kind of a really solid idea of what needed to happen. And then the world ended for a bit, which a lot of people have said, oh, you've started a brewery in lockdown. That must have been really tough. And the thing is, if I had taken on a lease for a brewery and bought a bunch of equipment, yes, yeah, I would be out of business now. But those things hadn't happened yet, so I got to spend a solid 2 years planning and scheming and figuring out how, who, what, where, when, before actually jumping, which, I mean, it didn't make me any money, but it also didn't cost me any money to sit there and think, and make sure we had the concept and the plan and know how much things cost and equipment costs and how we were going to finance things. So at the end of lockdown, we were ready to take on this site and get moving.
October is obviously, Werewolf is for life, not just for Christmas, I would say. But October is obviously a big month.
It is. So events every weekend, and last year that involved a beach party with go-go dancers, a spooky beer festival. So think of breweries that involve monsters and scary stuff. All of those beers on, as well as ours. Burlesque that involved fire and blood, psychobilly bands, and probably the two most important things this Halloween are, we're again doubling production of Halloween, our American style pumpkin beer, again this year, and expect that we'll sell out of it again. Last year, it went into cans and kegs, and it was gone by the end of Halloween. There was actually no, it was gone. It was gone before Halloween. So we're gonna have to make sure we've got some on for Halloween weekend. Yeah. And then the other big thing is we're sponsoring, quite appropriately, the weekend of Halloween, Psychobilly Freakout Festival 2023 at the New Cross Inn. And so there's 25 bands, and headliners are the Reverend Horton Heat, Demented Are Go, and the Hillbilly Moon Explosion. So you've got everything from new bands that nobody's seen before, international bands, and just regular stalwarts that you see at all sorts of psychobilly events. We're going to be there slinging T-shirts and making sure that everybody has plenty of fresh psychobilly on tap.
Fantastic. So lots to look forward to, that's for sure. And so until then, obviously October will be here before we know it. But for people that want to try delicious werewolf beer until then, where to find the tap room and what times are you open?
Sure. So the tap room is closest to Camden Road Overground Station. So that's the corner of Royal College Street and Camden Road. So we're about a 2-minute walk from that. But you can get to us through, we've got 3 or 4 bus lines that go by. You can Google all this. But we're also walking distance, about 10 minutes up the canal from King's Cross, about 5 minutes from Camden Market. And then we're surrounded by Mornington Crescent, Camden Town Station. So pretty centrally located.
Yeah. Yeah. And what are the tap room hours at the moment?
We're doing Fridays 4 to 9, Saturdays noon to 9, and Sundays 2 to 9. Once I get a tap room managers out there, if you want an easy job that finishes at 9 p.m., we'll be opening up Thursdays as well, because Thursday is the new Friday, as I'm told.
It is. I've heard the same. So yeah, word of advice, get down here, because the beer's brilliant. Great tap room and centrally located. Well, cheers, Rich.
Cheers, man.
Cool. Thanks for joining us today. Rich White, founder of Werewolf Beer. And Camden Town, Camden Road, easy to get to. Come on down. See you next time.